Guys, due to a freak accident in deep space, our target customer has been stranded on the planet Mars, and basically, are we going to just let them die up there? Run out of oxygen and not have the opportunity to buy the products and services that we are promoting? Absolutely not. We are going to bring him home. Unfortunately, Mark only has about 45 minutes of oxygen and life support left, and so that actually corresponds to the total length of this presentation. Not to worry, we are going to science the shit out of this and figure out a way to bring him home. Unfortunately, it does seem a little daunting, doesn't it? Mars is hundreds of millions of kilometers from Earth on a good day, and you know how it is. Whenever management comes up with one of these big missions, it's like they never work. Why do these things never work? Well, for starters, 99.9% of the content that we produce gets like 0 shares on social media. If you haven't been keeping up with current events, social media organic reach is awful. The cost per clicks on Google Adwords and other PPC networks is ridiculously expensive. Every 1% increase in cost per click is a 1% decrease in profits for you. And SEO is just getting harder and harder. Even if by some miracle you are able to get traffic to your site, the typical conversion rates for this stuff is around 1%. So yeah, it does feel a little bit like a suicide mission, but not to worry. I know you have a lot of questions for me today. You're probably wondering, who is this guy? How will this mission be different from all the others that have failed? Well, before getting into all the tactical details of this operation, I wanted to just introduce myself briefly. I will be your flight director for the next 40 minutes. I'm also the founder of the National Space Unicorn Association of the World, with over 100 successful missions to Mars and back. My background is actually in electrical engineering, and so all of this space stuff is, it is not an understatement to say that I am a rocket scientist. Originally from Canada, a province called Manitoba, a city called Winnipeg. It's very famous for being colder than Mars for half of the year. In fact, it's so cold that when I go to Mars, I don't even need a spacesuit. It's like so warm. I consider it nice and warm. I just need an oxygen tank. That's a joke, guys. You can. After graduating from college, I moved to Boston, and because the weather was so much nicer here. That's a joke, guys. It's not really Boston. That's Mars. Come on, guys. You can do this. I live in Boston, just across the river in Cambridge, in an area called Harvard Square. It's very famous because that's where Microsoft was founded. It's where Facebook was founded. It's also where I started my own company, WordStream, about 8 years ago. I swear to God, it was just like any one of you guys here. It was just all by myself, working out of a bakery, doing PPC consulting as a one-man show. It had the idea of building some software, and basically today the company, we're 250 people, tens of thousands of customers worldwide, managing over $1 billion of ad revenue for tens of thousands of customers. It's roughly 2% of the world's PPC revenue is managed through my business. A couple of months ago, 3 months ago, I just left the company though to start a new startup. But WordStream is doing fine. One other thing I'll just say about myself is I have a 3-year-old son. I've been live blogging his life on Twitter using the hashtag PPCKid. Here we are running the Boston Marathon last year. He was trying to be helpful, but actually he wasn't that helpful. But anyways. Back to our mission. Enough about me. We're talking about marketing mission, trying to achieve remarkable results on the cheap. And before getting into all the details, it might make sense to just think about how this thing really works, because I could tell you how it doesn't work anymore. It used to be so easy. All you need to do was, post something to your social media, and people would just see this stuff and buy your stuff. And absolutely, that does not work anymore. It's just ridiculously competitive today. Your posts don't even get seen, for all those challenges we were just talking about. And so what is needed, my friends, is a new way of doing things. And I'm not talking about like a little bit better, like 10% better. I mean like substantially different way of getting the leads and sales required to grow the business. Ideally 10 times better, not just 10% better. And guys, you're in luck today because I'm going to be unveiling to you my new unicorn rocket technology. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, unicorn rockets? That sounds very expensive. But but don't worry. These unicorn rockets are actually very economical. You can get your own unicorn rocket for just $50, low price. You see, the way that I use social media advertising is not to just throw tens of thousands of dollars to the to promote something. I use social media ads in one of two ways: either as a catalyst to start a reaction, kind of like gravity, things need a little push to get moving, or as an accelerant to make a successful explosion even bigger, so like gas on the flame. So guys, there's two things that social media advertising does fantastically well. The first thing that it does amazingly well, it's the cheapest and most scalable way to promote the content that you're producing and get it in front of the people who match the target audience. There's no cheaper way out there to amplify this. But there's this other thing that social media ads does fantastically well, is it has a really cool way of actually turning those clicks into actual leads and customers for your offers. And we'll get into all these operational details today through a series of tips and strategies and hacks. We'll be talking about my top 10 best social media advertising hacks for you to use in your own business in 2017 and beyond. So let's take it from the top here. We're starting with advertising number 10, my number 10 hack, which is to only promote unicorns on Facebook and Twitter. So what are these unicorns, and what is this relevancy score? So relevancy score, it's just the algorithm of paid social media ads. Just like how SEO has an algorithm and Adwords has an algorithm, Facebook ads employs an algorithm to determine how much you pay for those clicks and how often your ads show, or if they even show at all. And then basically, the higher the relevancy score of the ads, the more likely they are to show, and the cheaper they cost when someone actually clicks on them. Twitter, they just copied the same idea. It's just the resonance, recency, and relevancy of the tweet that you're promoting. The higher, like if people are clicking on it, retweeting on it, replying to it, then you'll have a high score and you'll have lower cost per clicks. What people don't understand is how much leverage there is in these equations. You see, guys, sometimes I'll tell people to try out Twitter or Facebook ads, and they're like, "Hey, Larry, we tried Facebook ads, and it was like $3 a click, and that's not going to work for us because like the margins aren't that big. You need hundreds of clicks to get a deal, and this is just not going to work." And I'm like, "Yeah, obviously it's not going to work because you're promoting garbage with 1% engagement rates, and that's why it's costing you $3. What they don't realize, if you could raise the engagement rates of the promoted posts that they're sponsoring to instead like 7 or 20 or 37 or 50%, your cost per click would fall to 8 cents to 3 cents to 1 penny to fractions of a penny. I've gotten this as low as like 1/100th of a penny. Generally, it's the case that for every 1% increase or decrease in the engagement of the post that you're promoting, you'll see a corresponding 5% increase or decrease in cost per click. And so the strategy, therefore, in Facebook and Twitter ads and all these other ad platforms, they work kind of similarly. It's to get a really, really high quality score. If you promote stuff that has really high click-through rates, you'll get a high quality score and a very, very low cost per engagement. The opposite is also true. If you promote garbage, then they won't even bother showing your ads in the first place. It's like, why did you even bother? And if by some miracle someone clicks on this thing, it'll cost you $3, $4, $5 a click, and that is horrible. So what about these unicorns? So the idea here is what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to promote only your best stuff, your unicorns. I'm talking about maybe the top 1 or 2% of the offers or content that you have. So like, you have to be very discriminating here. So the thing about unicorns is everyone has a unicorn, okay? No matter how crappy your stuff is, there's gonna be 1 or 2% that's gonna be less crappy than all the rest, okay? It's a relative basis. So let me just give you an example here. This is just some dorky tweet that I put out, a year ago or something, and it was just like goodbye, comma Google Plus, and I photoshopped a stupid gravestone and with a Google Plus logo in it, ha ha ha, right? I posted this to my Twitter, and then within a few minutes, like it had like 30, 40, 50 retweets, and I'm like, holy smokes, 30% of the people who are viewing this tweet, 30%, 1 in 3, are either replying to it with some snarky comment, favoriting or retweeting the thing, or clicking on the link, okay? So that is a unicorn, because the typical engagement rate for a Twitter tweet is maybe 1 or 2 or 3%. So this is like 10 times higher. So when you get, I'm sure you've seen this all like once or twice, in the last year or so, where one of those posts just goes remarkably well. And so what you're supposed to do with this is when you find these rare, remarkable unicorns, you promote them. So what did I do here? Did we just say like, hooray, we got this unicorn, let's go home? No, no, no. I sponsored it. I promoted it for $250 to pour gas on the fire, okay? And that led to 1,500 retweets, 100,000 clicks for $250. And that's how the economics of this stuff actually works for affiliate marketing. So you see, guys, the biggest mistake that people can do in social media advertising is trying to send their donkeys into outer space. They never make it. Donkeys are just not designed for the rigors of space travel. You can only send the unicorns. Let me give you an example. You're like, oh, Larry, I don't send my donkeys into space. I only send unicorns. No, there's a lot of dumb things that we do. Like, I'll give you an example. Say you had a $1,000 budget for your social media ads, and you had 10 posts for the month. Yeah, like we have 10 blog posts for the month. Let's evenly divide the budget, $100 to sponsor each one of our 10 posts, right? Wrong. That's stupid. 9 out of 10 of those posts are going to go nowhere. They're all going to be donkeys. What you should be doing is just like have rollover budgets where you spend nothing on your paid promotion, and only when the unicorn is spotted, you then move all in with like all the accumulated budgets, for the last few months, and promoting that one winner. Guys, the other crazy thing that you can do is like, it's where people tell me like, Larry, we haven't had a unicorn for a few months now. Can we just promote some piece of crap from last month that didn't do so well? And you know what, guys? That's crazy, because like if it didn't do well last month, why the heck would it do any differently if you're gonna just promote the same thing from last month that went nowhere? So like there's so many ways that we do these stupid things, and you just have to spot the donkeys and be willing to say no to them, because they're going to go nowhere. Guys, what we really need today is to figure out a way to get high quality score unicorns more predictably, because if we could do this, life would be so great. And to do this, I have pioneered new technology that you can use. It's super easy. It's a deep space radar. It's involving a unicorn detector. Super powerful stuff, guys. And again, if we can predictably figure out where the unicorns are, we've made it. We'll be living in unicorn land where it's like so wonderful and it never rains and it's always a nice, 77 degrees and sunny. Guys, here's how the unicorn detector works. It's so easy. See, the problem is that marketers think their shit doesn't stink. They think that everything they make is a unicorn. They think, oh, this must be a unicorn because I worked on it. I'm like, no, it's not a unicorn. It's like, you're just biased. You think it's a unicorn, but really it's a narwhal, or maybe it's a rhinoceros or a stegosaurus or some other creature like a mosquito that they thought was a unicorn, but it's actually not a unicorn. And so how do we figure out which one is the true unicorn amongst these creatures? And the answer is we're going to audition them. We're going to just audition all of these pieces of content, all these different offers on some platform. It could be Twitter organically. It could be an email. Like if you blast them up by email, like an open rate is typically 3, 4, 5%. If you find one that has like a 20, 30, 40% open rate, you've found the unicorn. And so it doesn't matter how you audition them, but you have to just audition them objectively. It's not just about your opinion of how great your stuff is. It's are people actually engaging with it or not? You audition them, and only the victors get promoted on Twitter and Facebook, etc. It's a little bit like the Hunger Games, how the tributes had to battle each other out in the districts, and only the winners got celebrated in the capital. Same idea, but we're doing this with your content and your offers. How do you find the unicorns amongst your donkeys? Well, there's a couple of ways. You can go to Twitter Analytics, download the data, sort by engagement rate, and just find the stuff that has the highest engagement rate. everyone has a unicorn. This is not some rare thing that is impossible. It's on a relative basis. It's just your top 2 or 3%. Everyone has a top 2 or 3%, no matter how bad it is. This is typically what I find when you go into someone's Facebook analytics and look at the posts and look at what is the engagement rates, what are the click-through rates for the posts that they put on their wall over the last year or so. So this customer had 129 status updates over the last few months. You can kind of see this bimodal distribution. 97% of it is donkeys. See, all of that stuff on the left, it's like 0 to 1%, 1 to 2%, 3 to 4%. Even the 5% stuff, those are still donkeys, because a unicorn isn't just a little bit better than a donkey. A unicorn is like 3, 4, 5 times better, not 3, 4, 5% better. So there's really only 3 unicorns in this bunch. It's the three status updates that receive a 10% or higher click-through rates. And those are the things that are worth promoting. Everything else, you just have to say no to donkeys. So are there other ways to find unicorns amongst the donkeys? Yes, there are. A typical blog distribution, like if you look at your own blog traffic, what you'll typically find is, 5 or 10% of the content that you produces like 60 or 70% of the traffic. This power law I've seen this in every single blog that I've ever worked on. And there's a really, really high probability that the ones that are doing remarkably well are the ones that are worthy of further promotion, and that you should forget about everything else. You need to be a little bit more picky. It's the same thing with conversion rates. There's conversion rate unicorns and conversion rate donkeys. The typical offer on the internet converts at around 2%. I know this why? Because I have $1 billion of ad spend. I can just extrapolate this data from like tens of thousands of customers. So the typical donkey, like the median offer is around 2.35% conversion rate. But yet the top 25% of you have offers that are converting at 11% or above. And so those are the only offers that are worth promoting. You got to say no to everything else. Guys, there's this thing that I call the unicorn power law, which is that most of the value of your campaigns and your affiliate marketing revenue comes from a very small fraction of the offers. Now you're thinking, oh, duh, Larry, this is obvious. But what you might not realize is that this power law is becoming increasingly true. So this is even more true today than it was just a year ago. So what's happening is that the algorithms that drive traffic to your site, so the Facebook newsfeed algorithm, the Google organic traffic algorithm, they're increasingly weighting things like click-through rates to determine visibility in those feeds. Let me just give you an example here. This is Inc. Magazine. I'm a columnist at Inc. Magazine, and every month my editor sends me a note saying, hey, Larry, here's the top 10 posts of the month. And she says, this is how much traffic each post got. So like, if you back up, back into September of 2015, it was one of those blue or green lines at the bottom. It was flat as a pancake, meaning the number 1 post did almost as good as the number 2 post, which did almost as good as the number 3 post. It was pretty, everyone was a winner, okay? Now, if you fast forward, just go through the months and go to just September of last year, you see that blue curve at the top. Look how steep it is. The number 1 and number 2 posts get more traffic than everything else combined, okay? So virality is becoming more viral. This notion, the donkeys are becoming increasingly insignificant, and it's just 1 or 2 winners that's taking everything. And so what is needed is a new social media strategy here to take advantage of these changes in algorithms. And so, guys, the easiest way to do this is just go to neilpatel.com and download the ultimate guide to creating viral content for the internet. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. Just kidding. Wait a minute. I read this thing and it didn't work. What the heck? No, not just joking here. I've made all sorts of stupid articles in the past about how to make your content go viral, and I get it. They're dumb, because you know why they're so dumb? They focus on attributes rather than outcomes. Here's one from a guy who's saying that there's 12 elements. It's like a checklist. Like if you have an image and if you have 1,200 words, if you can just check the box on these 12 things, then you have a high quality piece. Here's another one from another guy who's saying, If you have a long form piece of content, well, then that's quality, because the short form content, that's garbage. And guys, it's ridiculous. The quality isn't determined by attributes or your own biased views of your campaigns. It's determined by whether or not people engage with the content that you're producing or not. So basically, on the quality versus quantity debate, it's a false choice. You need a lot of quantity to find something that actually resonates. You have to audition a lot of offers to figure out one that sticks. And basically, it's more of a numbers game. Like, success here is more of a numbers game than a lot of us marketers would want to admit. I think that makes people uncomfortable because we would rather believe that somehow we are fully in control of the situation. Let me just give you an example. So I actually read Neil Patel's Ultimate Guide to creating viral content. Last year I produced 300 pieces of content, and only 6 or 7 of them were unicorns. The other 290 went nowhere. They were donkeys. So what the heck? Like, I'm only creating 7. That's about like 2 or 3% unicorns. It's like 98% donkeys. And so basically, the idea here, the strategy here, is that success is less about having some formula about how to create the unicorns in the first place, and more about extracting maximum leverage when you actually do find the unicorn. It's kind of like in poker. If you're dealt a remarkable, unbeatable hand, like 4 aces or a royal flush, why the heck would you just go after the blinds and just go on to the next hand? No. What you would do is you would vary your betting strategy to try to extract maximum value from this unusual hand. And so this brings me to my number 8 content promotion hack, which is to sound the unicorn alert and make unicorn babies. Duh. That usually gets a reaction. And nothing. Wake up, guys. Sounding the unicorn alert. So let me give you an example. So I mentioned earlier that I had 7 unicorns last year. One of the unicorns that I wrote was this piece called 5 Big Changes to Adwords, Everything You Need to Know. I don't know why, but this thing got 100,000 views in just a few minutes, okay? And so the content calendar, which is the worst invention in the history of marketing, would tell you, good job, you found a unicorn, now let's go check the calendar, see what's scheduled next. Oh, it's March, that's March Madness, so we need to come up with something related to basketball. It just, the content calendar says, like, move along, that you get a certain amount of points for engaging in one post, and then it's time to move on. That's a terrible strategy given the changes in the underlying algorithms. What you should be doing instead is jumping off of that content treadmill and instead moving all in on this one unicorn and sounding the unicorn alert and actually making unicorn babies. So what the heck is sounding the unicorn alert and making unicorn babies? It just says that if something did really remarkably well, it's likely to continue to do remarkably well. So for example, if you have this post that did so well, just turn it into a guest post. This is the same post. I just changed the headline and added a few extra details, but it's essentially the same. And surprise, surprise, it was the #1 post for Search Engine Journal. And of course, there was nothing random about that. I knew it was going to be the #1 post because it was doing so remarkably well on my own blog. Here's another example of a unicorn baby. It's to further explore the topic in greater detail. So like, there were 5 new features. What if I just write one story for each of those 5 features, right? It's the same idea. 10 things you need to know about the new Google Maps for local search. Or 5 things you need to know about the expanded text ads. Each one of these are just slight variations on the original successful unicorn, and each one of them generated as many or more traction than the original. But the biggest way to extract more value from your unicorns is to go all in on them with social media ads. It's like a special offer. If you have this really remarkable piece with 20, 30, 40% engagement rates, then for a short period of time, you can buy clicks for like 4 or 5 cents on Twitter. I just promoted the piece in paid ads, and I was getting clicks for 4 cents. Or you can promote that same piece on Facebook ads, and I'm getting clicks for 2 or 3 cents. You can repurpose the content. Now, I call this infographification, where you just take the same idea, the concept, and just turn it into a graphic. And of course, because the original concept did well, it'll do well in a graphical format. This is an example. This was my number 2 article of Search Engine Land was one I wrote about click-through rates, and I knew that it was going to do well because I just turned an infographic out of a post that did spectacularly well on my own blog. Even conference webinars and conference presentations and webinars. Like when I got that unicorn, we didn't just like say, hey, that's great, let's move on. I said, like, team, we're going to turn this into a webinar, and we're going to do it tonight. And what happened was we got 5,000 registrations from it, right? And then after we got why 5,000 registrations? Because GoToMeeting only supports 5,000 connections. But after we got that successful webinar, did we say like, oh, let's go home now? I was like, no. We're gonna do the same webinar again. And then my team is like incredulous. They're like, really? You want to do the same webinar again, even though we just did it today? I'm like, yep. And they're like, don't you want to change something? I'm like, nope. And we got another 5,000. And then we just kept on milking this thing. We did another webinar where we made a slight tweak to it. And basically what I'm trying to tell you is that like 5 webinars generated 71% of the leads, and it was just based on one idea. The great thing about this is that not only do you get more leads, it's less work. I didn't have to redo it. And so the basic idea here, the philosophy, is to just test more stuff organically and go all in only on the unicorns, the top 1 or 2 or 3%. Guys, there's a big difference between paid and organic social media. Like if you're running a paid campaign versus an organic campaign, the paid stuff has to be substantially more picky. The goal isn't to just spray and pray. What you're trying to do is cast a very narrow net and maximize the engagement rate of that net that you're casting, because you have to actually pay for these clicks. So this brings me to my number 7 hack, which is to engage the multi-stage booster rockets involving kind of combining all of the different targeting that these social platforms have to offer, including behavioral, interest, demographic, and remarketing. So this is a pretty unremarkable tweet of a piece of content that I wrote. It's like, have you optimized your content for featured snippets? Here's everything you need to know about it. It was just, I went with a Game of Thrones theme. If you promote this post, it gets like a 2 or 3% engagement rate. But I targeted not just SEO people, I targeted people who like SEO and also recently used the Game of Thrones hashtag. And lo and behold, they went from like a 2 or 3% engagement rate to a 27% engagement rate. So I'm able to generate 2,500 clicks for $49. You know that thing about the $50 that I was talking about? That's not a gimmick. The reason why the $50 is so important is because if you don't get great success within the first $50 of your media spend, spending another $50 isn't going to change anything. You're just going to get more of the same. It's delusional. So you should be able to figure out, if it's a good idea or not within the first $50. Of course, there's nothing saying that you can't double down on something if it's working, but you definitely don't have to spend more than $50 on a losing ticket. So this is so great if your goal is just to drive traffic to your site and mad hits. So congratulations, we've gotten mad hits, which is how idiots track success. Most of you affiliate marketers need to actually sell things or generate leads for the offers that you're promoting. And so that's where remarketing comes in. Remarketing is so powerful because on average, the people who are familiar with your brand are 2 to 3 times more likely to click on your thing. Higher click-through rates lead to much lower cost per click and double the conversion rates. So what you do is you combine the power of remarketing, with the additional overlay of interests, behaviors, and demographics, so that you're not just targeting everybody who visited your site. Not everyone who visited your site is a customer. It's maybe 1 or 2% of them, and you can narrow that field by that bucket by whittling out people only that have certain behaviors or demographics or interests. You're going after people who are interested in the stuff, who are qualified buyers, and who've checked you out recently. So congratulations, guys. We're now orbiting a lower Earth orbit. Can we just give ourselves a little applause here? Because less than 2% of companies make it this far. we just needed to get to Mars and back here, and basically from here we're going to roll out the big guns, the Earth gravity assist. You know, like when you are a spaceship, you don't just like put your foot on the gas and go straight to Mars. You use gravity to slingshot around to pick up some momentum here. And so the heavy guns here in social media ads is custom audiences. Custom audiences, it's nothing new. It's been around for 3, 4, 5 years, but I'm surprised at how little usage it gets amongst marketers. It's like doing email marketing, but so much better. You don't even need their permission to add them to your list. You just need their emails. And so many times it's very easy to figure out what the pattern is for people's emails. It's like first dot last name or something at company.com. And so it opens up a lot of interesting use cases if you're trying to get your message in front of very, very specific people. I just want to share with you one specific true story. This is like a few years ago, I did this study on, do Twitter ads work, comparing the performance of Facebook versus Twitter ads. And all I did was I just turned it into a simple graphic and I shared it to my Twitter, and basically, when I posted it, I also promoted the post, not to every one of my followers, because promoting to everyone is not being very specific. Instead, I promoted it to a very custom list of 1,000 journalists and public, like people who work for like Business Insider or Wired Magazine or the New York Times. I was able to just come up with a list of their Twitter names. Within a few minutes of doing this, the editor of Business Insider got back to me and said, like, "Hey, Larry, I saw your article. That looks interesting. We'd love to publish this on Business Insider." And I'm like, yeah, obviously, Business Insider is so much bigger than my own blog. So that's, all those blue things, those were links. So I'm doing my SEO link building dance. And basically, when you have these unicorns, you have to go all in. You can't just say hooray and then that's the end of the day. I took the syndicated copy of that article and reposted it, and I went all in with this thing. I spent another $50 on re-promoting the post to the same audience. Again, within a few minutes, Fox Business News calls. There was another producer that I had on the list, and they're like, "Hey, Larry, we saw this article. It's really interesting. We'd love to send a car for you to bring you to the studio tomorrow, and have you on as a guest." This was a 4.5-minute segment, guys. This is one of the leading cable business shows, in the world, and a small business like myself at the time could not have afforded 4.5 minutes of international, commercials. So this is incredible brand recognition and brand building. But the icing on the cake was that the Facebook people really loved the segment. I was beating up on Twitter ads, and they were so thrilled. And so they invited me to meet like Sheryl Sandberg out in Menlo Park, and basically they found out that my wife was pregnant at the time. This was like 2.5 years ago, and they got me this baby hoodie. Guys, the baby hoodie was $25. That was half the cost of the media spend. This is incredible, our return on investment. So it's just there's so much leverage here. I'm surprised people don't use this. I want to just move along here, talk a little bit about hacking the social media outlets. So what the easiest way to get on the New York Times bestseller list is? Does anyone know the hack to get on the New York Times bestseller list? It's to buy like 1,000 copies of your own book, okay? You just buy 1,000 copies and you'll show up at the bottom of the list, okay? And then the next day people will open the list and they'll say like, I wonder what this thing is, and they'll buy it. And then you'll enter this jet stream where just having kind of given yourself a little bit of a kick will allow you to show up on the higher in the rankings, and you don't have to keep buying the book forever. You just have to give it a little push. Guys, all of the social media aggregators like Reddit, Dig, Hacker News, they all work the same algorithm as the New York Times, okay? And basically, this is one social media network called Medium, and it's kind of like Tumblr. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but this stupid post, "Multitasking is killing your brain," got over almost 10,000 hearts and over 1 million views, and was like the #1 story on Medium last year for like a month. Okay, it was so popular that Ariana Huffington asked me. She shared it and asked me to be a columnist. It got syndicated in Time Magazine and a dozen other places. It rocketed me up to the #8 most popular author on Medium, just behind Hillary Clinton, okay? And basically, my content on Medium now gets 500,000 views per month. How did we do this? Is it because my writing is so great? No, it's not. It's not. It's because I just created a custom audience. All I did was I scraped Medium for a list of like the top 200,000 users on that site, got their Twitter names, who are the people who are actively using that platform, and I'm just promoting the content for $50, getting it in front of their faces. Those are the people who are most likely to heart things. You see what I'm saying? And you can apply this algorithm to any of these platforms. Reddit, I can get stuff onto the homepage of Reddit with like 1 in 15, 1 in 20 chance. Like the chance of something getting into Reddit by itself organically is like 1 in a million, okay? Here, I'm getting it down to like 5 or 10%. All I do is I just throw targeted traffic, social media traffic against people who are Reddit users and are very interested in the topic of the content. In this case, something about Microsoft Excel. And so the combination of this thing, if you can just get to the homepage for like even an hour, that's like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of views. Guys, we're down to my number 4 hack. We're almost done here, and the idea here is to change your offer. Remember what I was talking about with the conversion rate, donkeys and unicorns, that most of the offers convert around 2%, but a quarter, about the top 10% of offers are converting around 10% or higher. The question becomes, how do we turn these conversion rate donkeys into conversion rate unicorns? And basically, I can tell you how not to do it. How you don't do it is to believe the conversion rate fairy tales. So these are the stupid stories. It's like, oh, we changed the font and we changed the spacing and the color and the image, and somehow we got a 5% lift. And then we did this 100 times to get, we did this 10 times to get a 50% lift. And guys, that never happens. What actually happens is what I found is that it has more to do, the conversion rates has more to do with how exciting the offer is in the first place. So what we've observed is that the higher the click-through rate, the higher the conversion rate. This is an e-commerce store that has thousands of products, and the products that have higher click-through rates also have higher conversion rates. Let me give you an example. On the left, you've got picnic pants, which is the stupidest invention ever. You're basically eating off your own crotch. Guys, it's totally unsanitary. Why would anyone want to buy picnic pants? That's a product that has a really low click-through rate and a very, very low conversion rate. On the right side, you've got drones. Guys, ladies, if you have a husband or a boyfriend looking for a birthday present, this is the greatest thing ever that you could ever get them, a drone, the DJI Phantom 4. It's under $1,000. It has a high click-through rate and a high conversion rate. And guys, the thing that marketers do, I see this all the time, is they try to put lipstick on the donkey, okay? They think that, oh, if we could just do some better photography of this donkey, like we just need invisible noodles, or we need a bigger buy now, or buy one picnic pants, get one free. Like if we could just put lipstick on this donkey, the money will roll in. And guys, this strategy is awful. All you're doing is you're summiting that donkey hill. What you really, even if you get to the top of this hill, you're still a donkey. What you need to do is just drop the donkey and go after something else. It's just what affiliate marketers know. It's that like if these offers aren't working, don't stick with them forever. Move on and find a different offer. Guys, let me just tell you, a few years ago, when I started WordStream, I had an offer. It was converting like a donkey. It was a free trial of my software. It had a 2% conversion rate. Why did I have a free trial of my software? Well, it's because everyone else had a free trial. I'm like, well, I guess I should have one too. It was pretty unoriginal. About 3 years after starting my business, I came up with this idea that was like, let's get rid of the trial. Like, why do we have to make people try out the software? Only 2% graduate. Instead, I turned it into a report card. The report card just kind of told them everything that was wrong of their AdWords account in like 10 seconds, not like 2 hours. And the conversion shot up to around 40%. That's the reason why this company is like the managing $1 billion in ad spend. It was just this one little tweak. So you can spend all day just like putting lipstick on the donkey, or what the better way is actually changing the offers to something different. We're down to my number 3 hack here, almost over here, just 5 minutes, talking a little bit about my number 3 paid content promotion hack, which is hacking Rankbrain. So how the heck does SEO get hacked with social media ads? Well, basically what Rankbrain does organic listings on Google was all about links and keywords pointing to a page, right? And now there's a new sheriff in town called user engagement metrics like click-through rates and engagement rates like bounce rates. And if the higher the click-through rates, the higher the rankings. Here's some research that I did on my own last year to prove this. What we found was that we were tracking the same 1,000 keywords over the course of last year, and what was happening was the stuff in the top spot was getting higher and higher click-through rates. And because the SERP is winner take all, those gains for the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 articles were coming at the expense of the lower position articles. Like the articles with lower click-through rates were falling to the bottom of the page. And so basically, if you want to raise your position by 1 point, there's many different ways to do this. You can get more links, you do on-page SEO, or you can just increase the click-through rate of your page by 3%, exceeding what is the average click-through rate for that particular listing. So if you can get an unusually high click-through rate, Google will actually notice that, and a feedback loop will then push it up an extra space. Same thing with bounce rates. Like if you have really crappy bounce rates, you're unlikely to be in those top spots. But if you have a really decent bounce rate, well, then you become eligible for positions 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a relatively new change in organic SEO. And so the key to success in SEO is just raise your click-through rates. If you raise your click-through rates, more people will get to your site, but you'll also get these ranking boosts. So what does this have to do with social media ads? Guys, people don't just click on things randomly. They click on the stuff that they've heard of before. So if you can get to people in front of people's faces before they click, that'll raise the click-through rates by anywhere from 1 to 2 times. There's tons of studies saying that people tend to click on things that they've heard of. So guys, we're almost done here. We're orbiting Mars. Congratulations so far. Can we just give ourselves one more round of applause here? All right. We just have 2 more things to do here. We just need to rescue the guy and go home. Basically, I want to talk a little bit about video ads. And what video ads says is just like if you have a concept that's doing already well, like if you have an offer that's doing well, just taking the same idea and turning it into a video will increase the quality scores by 1 or 2 points. Let me just give you an example, but this just be warned, this is kind of a crazy video here. Can we? How do you play this? Oh, well, it's not playing, but it was a really crazy video, and basically all it was a unicorn. Click video. It's supposed to click on play. Wait. So, if I already have this concept of unicorns and they seem to be resonating, so like what you do is if you have a concept that's working, just go all in on it. So this is like a crazy video that I created with like a donkey turning into a unicorn and blasting into outer space. Wasn't that hard to unsee? So basically just promoting this stuff because it's based on a concept that's already working, you get those click-through rates high, the cost per click goes down to the pennies. Just converting the winning idea into a video will further increase the quality scores by 1 or 2 points. Guys, this is my last hack for today. It has to do with integrating the power of AdWords and social media ads. So we've been talking about a lot about Facebook and social media ads, but what about Google search? What about Google AdWords? And the way that you combine the power of the two is using something called RLSA. Has anyone heard of RLSA? A few of you. RLSA is search remarketing. So these are ads not just for people who searched on a keyword, these are ads for people who have visited your site recently and then search on the keyword that you're interested in. You got that? So remarketing for search, it works on both Bing and on Google AdWords. Remember, the power of remarketing is that if people are familiar with you, they're like 2 to 3 times more likely to click. They're 2 to 3 times more likely to buy, and those cost per clicks go down like crazy. The problem with search remarketing is it would be like playing sports where you only have a defense and no offense. You're going after that small circle of people who have brand affinity, okay? But it's usually the case that there's more people who haven't heard of you than who have have heard of you. So you're only harvesting the low-hanging fruit. So the solution to this problem is you can have your cake and eat it too. You just use the crazy hacks that we've been talking about for the last 30 minutes to create an enormous cookie pool of people who are now biased towards your brand. And then you can then harvest them using RLSA in search. So basically, the strategy is just diverting your paid media budgets away from paid search towards a more integrated mix of both paid search and paid social, which will allow you to both create the demand on the front end and then harvest demand via search. Guys, congratulations. We've rescued our target audience from the surface of Mars. This is so great. What does it all mean? Let's just take a step back here and think about how advertising really works. It's simple. It's 3 steps. Step 1, we're going to come up with some kind of a message, some kind of a content that actually resonates with our target audience. Step 2, people will then see that message, that content. It'll resonate with them. They might not buy your stuff right away, but in the back of the head, a bias will start to form. Step 3, later when the need arises, they will actually do a search for whatever it is you're selling, and hopefully, it's a branded search, in which case you've won, right? The click-through rates on branded searches are 50, 60, 70%. Or they'll do an unbranded search for the stuff that you're selling that they'll then recall due to the bias that you've created, who you are and what you stand for, and then they'll likely choose you rather than all the other schmucks. Guys, I've done so much research on this because I have $1 billion of ad spend. Basically, all I'm looking here is the impact of brand affinity on click-through rates of new versus repeat visitors. The people who have brand affinity, like the people who visited you before, they're 2 to 3 times more likely to buy across any vertical. They're 2 to 3 times more likely to convert across any vertical. And so that's really the trick here. We're just the greatest hack of all is just creating the brand that people know and love. So that's my summary of my 10 social ad hacks for today. I'm not going to list them all out there, but you can download the presentation. We talked about all the lunar assists and Mars ascent vehicles, etc. Thank you so much, Affiliate Marketing Summit, and congratulations to Missy and Sean on the big news, and thank you again.